Hello friends, my name is Bilal Khan and today I'm going to be talking about another chapter of the Rust book, that is basically the methods. So let's go to the screen and I will show you there. So as you can see here that I'm present in this Visual Studio Code, and inside this Visual Studio Code, as you can see here that these are the lessons that I have covered in my previous videos. So the next chapter or the next lesson that I'm going to be covering is basically the methods. So let's create the directory at first, and then I will show you that what is method and how it works. So first of all, let's write cargo new, and then this lesson name is basically going to be 17. And that is by the name of methods. This is the package name, that is basically methods. Okay, so yeah, it is created successfully, as you can see here, and inside this is the main.rs file. So basically what the method is a function. Let me just write it like this. Method is a function that is in the context of structs, enums and traits. So although we have not covered the traits yet, but you need to keep in mind that it is used in the context of structs, enums and traits. So what do I mean by this? So let me just first of all copy this and move it up here, and then I will show you with the example that what do I mean by this. All right, so basically when you declare a struct, all right, after declaring a struct, there are some fields in it, and you can use those fields in a function, in a separate function, right? But now once you create the struct or enums or traits, there is another way also in which you can use those fields of the structs or enums in a method. Instead of using the fields in a function, you will use those fields in a method, so that the code can be readable and you can understand and what you can say, point out to the method directly instead of finding the function separately. So let's clear this, and I will show you that basically what do I mean by this. So let's say you create a struct, right? So this is a struct that is basically by the name of rectangle. All right, so inside this rectangle there are two fields. The first one is basically the width, okay, the width, and that is going to be unsigned integer 32 bits, and after that height is basically also the unsigned integer 32 bits. So yeah, these are the two fields inside the rectangle struct. And now if you want to use it the traditional way, or what you can, not the traditional way, but if I say that the previous way when we were discussing about this, that was basically to use a function. Let's say the function name is area, and inside this function I have to write like rectangle, and then inside the rectangle, that rectangle is going to be calling to this rectangle struct, that is basically this one. Okay, so now this rectangle is used as a parameter, and now if I want to use this rectangle and the fields inside it, I can use these fields inside this function easily. So how can I use this? I can simply write this like rectangle, what you can say, this curly braces, and then rectangle dot width, and then multiply by a rectangle dot height. So yeah, this was the approach that I taught you in my previous videos, in which you will be writing a struct, and after that you have to call the parameter in a function header, and you can call those fields that are present inside the struct inside this function based on your usage, right? So yeah, this was the previous approach that I showed you in my previous videos. Now if I can call this like main function, it will work like this. Let's say area, okay, but before moving to this area, let's write what you can say, let a rectangle, and that rectangle is going to be rectangle this struct. Okay, this is calling that struct, and this struct is equal to this variable. And now let's write width is equal to, let's say 45, and then height is equal to 32. Okay, now if I want to call this, let's first write the semicolon and then write area, and inside this area I have to write the rectangle. Okay, because the rectangle is passed as a parameter here, and now if I want to call this as an argument, I have to call it here. All right, because this rectangle struct is now equal to this variable, and I can use it like this. Okay, so this was the previous approach, but I'm going to just show you that how it works, right? So let's write 17 inside the 17 methods, and then cargo run. Now you can see here it has printed the 90. Why? Because the area is 90 based on the width and the height. So yeah, this was the previous approach. Now let's take a look at the next approach, that is basically the method, in which it is in the context of structs, enum and traits. So let's say what is that? First of all, let's take a look at the syntax of it. So the syntax of method is impl or implementation, and then you will name the what you can say, the a method name the same as the struct name. Okay, the struct name is rectangle, so you will name the struct name you will name the method name same as the struct name, like this. Okay, rectangle. Now from this method name you will easily identify that which struct it is talking about. Okay, because from this area function you are not sure that which what you can say which struct it is talking about, but from this method name you can easily identify that which struct it is talking about. Let's say if you have like multiple structs, then you can easily identify the struct name with the help of this method name. Okay, or you can easily identify the method name with the help of this struct name. So yeah, let's take a look at this function. So I will not be writing the function again. Instead, I will be just copying this, remove it from here, and then I will call this function here. So now there are some things that I need to modify. Like the first thing that I need to remove is this one, because I don't need to call the parameter here. Instead, I will just write the self. Okay, because the self is basically pointing to this width and height. Although I'm present in this method, so now based on this method that I'm present in it, it will automatically detect that I need to point to these fields. Okay, because I'm present in this methods and the method name is the same as the struct name, so obviously it will point to this width and height in order to show me that you can use them. Okay, so I don't need to separately write the parameters. Instead, it will help me to point to these variables or point to these fields automatically by using just self. So instead of writing a rectangle, I will simply call this self. And similarly, I will write this self here. Okay. So now, as you can see here, that it has become shortened, and now I can write multiple functions in it, and those functions will be part of the rectangle struct. Okay, and now I can play with this struct using a method. All right. So now this is done, and after that, this thing will be the same as it is, but here the change that will happen will basically something like this. And here you can see here that previously I wrote this area, and inside this area I wrote the rectangle, but now I have to write the rectangle at first, rectangle dot, because this is the rectangle, and rectangle dot area. Because now the rectangle or the struct is in the what you can say beginning, and now I can play with the functions. Let's say if you have multiple functions inside this method, then you can call this function like you can call any functions after it. Like you can say area, and you can call it like you can call another function. Let's say hello. You can call another function. Let's say what you can say here diameter, or any kind of function that you can call it, because these functions will be the part of this struct, and now you don't need to separately call the every function and write the parameter or argument in it, right? So yeah, this is how the method will call. So area, yeah. So let's write this, and now let's clear this. And now you can see here it has given me the same result 90, but now the code is more structured. You can see here this is the struct, and now the struct is implemented inside this method. All right, and now you can simply call these methods in the main function, and now the code will be structured and it can be identified easily, because you can easily identify the what you can say method by looking at the struct, because the struct and the method name are the same. So from this point, I hope you understood that what is the use case of this method. Now here is one point that I need to mention is that you have seen that this is the ampersand sign. Okay, so what does this mean? Basically it means that this ampersand sign is taking the reference of this width and height. Okay, so it is not taking the ownership, it is not taking the honor of the of width and height, it is only taking the reference of width and height, or it is like in some words pointing to this width and height but not taking the actual value. So basically it is used, this reference point is used when you want to just read the data but not want to modify the data. I have discussed in my reference chapter, you can see this, that in which if you want to modify the data, you can use like you can take the ownership or you can mutate it, but if you want to just read the data, you can just reference to it and it will be available to you for reading. So yeah, let's say if I want to mute it or make it mutable, right? So I can change this to like mutable reference. Now this reference can be mutable also. So how I can modify this in order to make it mutable? So let's say if I write it like this, let's call this. Okay, now if I change this to multiplied it by 2, then it will give me another result. Okay, I need to make this rectangle mutable also, because these are the things that are required. So yeah, now if I change this to clear, now we can see here 180, because I changed it to mutable reference. Now I can change it to any number and I can modify this multiple times, because if it is not mutable, then it will give me the error. So yeah, this was the point. And now there is another point that, let's say if I remove the mutable reference and if I also remove the reference, that is ampersand sign. So in this case, what I will do here, I will first of all remove this. I will so remove this. Now what it will do here, it will only take the ownership. So now it is not pointing to this width and height. This self is not pointing to this width and height. Instead, this self is taking the honor of this ownership of this width and height. Now if I call this function multiple times, it will not work. So let me just write it again. You can see here that this is not working. Why? Because once the honor is identified, then you cannot use it multiple times until you take a reference, until you make a clone of it. So these are the two ways. You have to make it clone, or make a clone of it, or you have to make a reference of it. But now you cannot call it like ordinarily, just like I have called it, because it has taken the ownership of this. So the self is basically taking the ownership of this width and height, and now it cannot be taken like written multiple times. Instead, if you want to print it multiple times, you have to reference it just like this, and or you can make it a clone of it, so that you can call it multiple times, right? So the cloning part, maybe I have shown it, but even if I have not shown it, I can show you in the upcoming video, so don't need to worry about it. But yeah, these are the two ways. So let's say if I print it again, let's say after taking the reference, you will see that it is giving me the what you can say here, data 90 and 90, as you can see here. Because I removed the multiplied by 2, and that's why it has printed for me 90 and 90, but it is still giving me the message, because now I have taken the reference of it, not the actual honor, right? So yeah, from this point I hope you understood that what is the method and how it works in the structs, and what is the reference of self, and how you can make the mutable reference, and how you can what you can say take the ownership inside the method. So yeah, this is the case in struct. Now let's take an example of enums, because these are the three things that I'm going to be talking about, right? So the struct I have covered. Now the enums is going to be covered now, but in the next video I'm going to be covering the traits. But for now I'm just limiting myself to structs and enums, because this is the thing that I have covered in my previous videos, and I'm just creating the methods in order to show you. But the trait is a little bit extended, so I will cover it in the next video. So let's stay if I comment this, So now let's take an enum. So if I write an enum, let's say what you can say here, let's write traffic light. Okay, traffic light. So this is the chapter that I have covered in my previous video. Yeah, maybe you have seen it. Yeah, struct and enum, you can take a look at them, that what is enum and what is struct. But traffic light, in which there will be multiple what you can say parameters or multiple values, like the red, green and yellow. Okay, so yeah, these are the three signs in the traffic light. If any of the line will be shown to you, you can print a relevant message to it. Okay, and it is based on the condition that if this condition is happened, then these conditions will be ignored, and if this condition is happened, then these other conditions will be ignored. So yeah, I have talked about this in the 11th chapter, so that you can check this out. But now let's take a look at the implementation or the method part of it. So impl and then traffic light. So the method name is going to be the same as the enum name, and inside this I will write description. In this description, inside this I will write the self. Okay, and now let's write what you can say traffic light, red. Sorry, but before this I need to write the match statement because I have forgotten about it. So match self. So why I have written the self? Because let's say if the self is not present, if I'm writing the like ordinary function, I can simply write the parameters, and those parameters can be like written like this: light, and then traffic light. I will be calling this traffic light to this enum, and then I will be calling the light here. But here I'm not doing this. Instead, I'm writing the self here, and the self keyword is basically pointing to this what you can say traffic light enum. And now inside this match there will be three conditions. The first one is red, green and yellow. Okay, so now let's write traffic light and then what you can see here red. Okay, so for the traffic light it's just going to be red. And now let's write print statement. So the print statement is going to be hey friend, you need to stop. Because it is red, so I need to stop. And now let's write traffic light again multiple times like this. It will be fine. You need to, what you can say, you need to go and you need to be cautious. You need to be cautious. And now let's change this to green and then change this to yellow. Okay, so now this will perform. So yeah, these are the three messages that are appeared here. And now let's call this method inside this main function. And after this, let's say what I need to do, I need to first of all define the light. That is going to be the traffic light, let's say red. Okay, so this is the traffic light red, and now this is part of this variable. Okay, now this variable will be called. And now let's write what you can see here, this function. So how I can call this function? I will simply write, let's say light, and then this description. So according to this, what you can say, like turn off the light based on the description. So description could be anything. There are three descriptions, but based on the light. So the light is currently red. So what I will do, what it will do here, it will print the message for me that hey friend, you need to stop. Okay, and if I write, say make it green, you will see here, if I remove this, hey friend, you need to go. Okay, so yeah, this is how it can be done. So in case of using the enums. But let's say if I want to use the parameters in it, so instead there is one self written here, but I can also write the parameters. So how I can do this, I will write name, and this name is going to be string. Now let's say if I write this, instead of friend, I will write this remove this and write the curly braces like this. Okay, now let's call this name. Okay, so I will write this name, because this name is not part of the self, instead it is something another variable. So now it is not part of this traffic light, that's why I'm not using it with self. So let's say like this, name, like this. Okay, so yeah, let's remove this. Let's what I can say, add this to any name, give it any name, like hey, hey Bilal. Okay, hey Bilal, and make it to string, convert it to what you can say, string. And now let's clear this. Now you can see, hey Bilal, you need to go. Okay, now you can see here that it has given to me the name. And after that, let's say if I change this to yellow, now it will be working fine for me. Hey Bilal, you need to be cautious. So yeah, this is how it will work. You can also call the parameters in it, but the struct that will be called, or the enum that will be called here, will be part of the self, and you can call, you can use those what you can say, statements, or you can use those struct or enums inside this function. And after that, you can call the extra parameter also based on your need, just like I have did here. All right, so you can call this, you can use this in the struct also, but I have used it in the enums. So yeah, you can do any experiment with it. So yeah, this is part of the what you can say method, and how you can use it, and why it is usable, and why it is beneficial, basically in order to make the code readable, and in order to identify the method, that which method is relevant to which struct, or which method is relevant to which enum. That could be easy for you. Let's say if you have this description function, and you are not sure that which description function is pointing to which struct, or which description function is pointing to which enum, that could be difficult for you. But now you can easily identify that this enum is now implemented inside this method. Okay, and similarly this struct is now implemented inside this method. Now all the functionalities that will be implemented here inside this rectangle what you can say method will be part of this struct. All right, so yeah, this is what makes it easier for us in order to make the code readable, and to make it understandable, in order to use the structure and enums in a separate way, and declare the functions in another way. Let's say you can write another function here, but now that function is not going to be the part of this struct. Instead, that function is going to be performing another thing. Okay, but for dealing with struct or enum or traits, you can use the method. So yeah, this is what the purpose of this method, and I hope you like this video. So if you liked it, then make sure to subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions, then ask those questions in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer all of them. So till then, goodbye.